Hey, I'm Matthew Giorgio. If you've decided you want to use a simulation with your students, one of the decisions you might have to make is to choose which particular program you want to go with. At MediaSpark, what we do is we've actually designed a number of simulations at different levels of complexity so that we can serve the needs of different customers at different times, because one size just doesn't fit all when it comes to simulation. So when you're trying to make a decision about the level of complexity that you want to use for your students, I want to suggest to you that you want to think about this carefully and be careful not to choose a simulation that is too complex for your students, because what you'll find is this is a simple graph that just tries to demonstrate that as you want to increase your learning, which is our y-axis, and you increase the complexity, depending on the level of your student, you'll need more something that's more complex, and your learning will improve. But if you hit something that's too complex, then all of a sudden your learning will suffer. And we do see that happen on occasion when instructors might choose the wrong program for their particular students' needs. But we have a number of different levels of business simulation, and over the years occasionally I'm demonstrating the various levels, and I do have instructors who will say, oh, you know what, that level is too simple for my students. My students are ready for something much more complex than that. And in many cases they may be right, but often they're not right. And I can just tell, because I've been doing this for many years, and I have to help them understand that simulation, even a simple simulation when it's designed well, is actually an incredibly valuable experience, but you want to be careful not to choose something that's too complex. You're better off choosing something that's a little simpler, because even though you think your students may be ready for it, they're not always ready. And I'll give you an example. One of our simulations allows a student to run a business. It's head-to-head multiplayer, and so students would run businesses and compete against each other. And the business only has one product. We have other simulations where you can manage multiple products, but this particular simulation only has one product. And we know that there's other simulations are available from other companies that are somewhat similar but have multiple products, so students can actually manage multiple products in the same simulation. And on occasion, we've had an instructor who will look at our simulation and say, well, yours is not as complex or not as deep because this other simulation has more products, and I think I like that better. But here's the danger. The danger is you're getting into this complexity zone. And from our experience designing simulations for over 20 years with a couple of million users using our products over that time, what we've learned is that if you have too many options, too many decisions in a particular simulation, based on the profile of your students, it becomes too difficult for the student to understand cause and effect. Because in order to learn from a simulation, you have to be able to make decisions and see the consequences of those decisions. And if you have too many variables impacting decisions, it becomes harder to see the cause and effect. Now, in some cases, you do want the nuance of cause and effect, and there are some experiences that provide for that. But for basic business simulation, for example, for a high school or college student, you don't want that level of complexity because it's too much. And if you have multiple products with multiple price points in a head-to-head multiplayer competition, there are so many variables at play that it becomes too overwhelming. And either a student will become disengaged because of how overwhelming it is and figure, well, since I can't understand cause and effect, I'm just going to make whatever decisions I'm going to make and hope for the best. Or you'll have this happen, which we see happen a lot, is students will make incorrect assumptions of how the simulation works, and they'll feel confident but are actually too overconfident because their assumptions are incorrect. We see that happen a lot. And I'm not sure if it's just a human nature thing, but people make just wrong assumptions all the time about how things work, and it impacts their ability to learn, and they end up falling down on the learning gradient here, and not maximizing their learning opportunities. So my advice to you is think carefully about the level of complexity and don't overestimate what your particular learners are capable of. Talk with the people who created the products. In my case, talk with me, and we'll definitely give you the right advice in terms of matching the needs of your students and the curriculum that you want to achieve. I'm Matthew Giorgio. BusinessXP is the fastest and most inspiring training ever invented for future business leaders and entrepreneurs. Discover game-based experiential learning at business-xp.com.